Hey all, in the last video we successfully ran the container for our to-do application. We published the ports so that application can be accessed from outside the container, and this is what we see, right? I'm running this application or accessing this application outside the container from my own browser. We also saw different mechanisms for publishing the ports, right? We saw what's the difference when you write a capital P minus P. It is basically mapping the port which is exposed in a Docker file to the higher order port. And we also saw what does minus port to minus small p does. I also gave you a mnemonic technique how to remember what is the host container, what is the host machine port versus a container port. I named it as high quote. H stands for host machine, so H:C meaning host port and your container port. Now let's discuss a few other important things around running the container. So our container is running right now. I'm able to access this application, but if you go back to our container, go back to our command prompt, if I close this, right, if I press Ctrl C, if I accidentally close it and I refresh this, my application is not accessible. The reason we can see is if I do Docker PS always gives you what are the running containers. That means when I press Ctrl C or Command C, Ctrl C to kill this application, so the container got killed. That's why Docker PS is not showing up this. If I do Docker PS -A, then it tells me that okay, my container was running. I maybe ran it few more times earlier, right? So my container was running earlier, but it is now exited state, right? I want to be able to run my container, and even if I close this terminal, I shouldn't be worried about this. Basically want is even if I close my terminal, I should be able to continue to run my container. I don't want my container to be stopped when I close this when I close this terminal, right? That's the feature I'm looking for. So let's see what are the other mechanisms we have. Okay, so if I do Docker run, let's go to the help mode. Okay, and if you look at here, if you go through this list, you'll see something called detach or -d, which is an option, okay, which you can add while running a container. So if you look at here, let's read through that. -d, run a container in the background and print the container ID. So if we write -d or -detach, it will actually run the container in a detached mode, so that even if we close this terminal, it would continue to run. Let's try that right now. Let's run Docker PS. We don't have anything else. Okay, let's run Docker run -detach or -d for detach, and then to do app. The version I want to run is 002. Oh yeah, that's it, I think. Okay, so if you look at this, as it says, it will run the container and it will print the container ID. That's what it did. It ran the container in the background and it printed the container ID. If I do Docker PS, I should get the same application. So if you look at this 8B40D667308C, right, this is your container ID basically. This is the most important part of the container ID, which uniquely identifies this container ID, and application is running. I'm able to access this. Okay, did I miss anything? Okay, give me one moment. Oh, I didn't map the port. Sorry guys, I think that's what I was missing. Okay, let me stop this container. My bad. Docker stop. That's what I thought. I'm missing something. Anyway, it happens. So -p, then 3000:3000. High quote I missed. Yeah, this is now running. Yeah, our application is back. Awesome. We make mistakes, all of us do. Okay, this is what I wanted to show. A detached mode, very important, and you will use that very often during debugging purposes. The next thing I wanted to talk to you regarding regarding the Docker Desktop features. I haven't spoken that in a while, even on CLI mode mostly, and I'll tell you reason why I want you to prefer CLI mode over Docker Desktop mode, right? I'll tell you in a while, but I'll just quickly show you some of the I'll walk you through some of the features that Docker Desktop has, right? Right now, as soon as I open this, you can see I can see all the containers which are currently running or in exited state. So you can consider, so the way we do Docker PS, right? We do Docker PS -a, so it gives you what are the running containers, what are the exited ones also, right? This is the up, which is running container, these are the exited ones, and if you look at this output, it is nothing but same. It is giving you the running container as well as all the exited containers, right? So if you go to Docker Desktop dashboard, this is what you're going to see. Next, let's look at the images now. If you go to images, you will see the images that we have currently. You have to-do app version 002, to-do app version 001. If I do Docker images, this is what I'm going to get. I'm going to get Docker to-do app 002, to-do app 001, exactly same thing. This is currently it is showing this is in use. If I try to delete it, it would not let us delete it, right? Right. So and then few other things, right? If you want to run a container out of this, you can do that from here. Just the way we use Docker run and then give the image name, right? You can do that from here straight away. There are few more options here, and you can choose to delete, right? The way we do Docker image RM, right? The same operations can be performed here. It's just that the GUI support. Let's go back to the containers. We'll come back to volumes because we haven't talked about volumes, so we'll cover that first, the basic theory, and we'll come back. Okay. These are our local images that we have, and then we have a hub, meaning like when we go to hub.docker.com, how we can find images, right? Similarly, you can find the images here, but you need to be signed in here, right? There you can search the images without also being signed in, but here you need to sign in so that you can go through the images here only instead of going on the Docker hub, hub.docker.com. So yeah, let's go back to the container also. I wanted to tell you few more things here. I wanted to show you. So this is the name that we have given. This is the random name which has been chosen, but if you want, so if you go to Docker run, we already have Docker run here. If you go to help, right, so you have an option to provide the name to your container. So Docker run detached, set the metadata. So if you look at here, I can give a name to my running container. Right now, if you look at this, like Docker PS, if you do, I get this name determined yellow, right? Okay, let me stop this with the name. So Docker stop determined yellow, and if I do Docker PS, right, I don't get anything. And then when I'm running this, right, when I'm running this, I can give a name to my container while running. So where was that option? Minus name. Yeah, here it is, right? So let's do this. So Docker run -d -p 3000 high code HC -name, let's say to do app, and then my image name is to do app 002. Okay. Now if I do Docker PS, you can see my name is now to do app. So this is a more contextual name than the name that some random name that you're using. Imagine that you have 10 containers running and all of them have some random names, right? Instead you have a contextual name, that this is my to do app container, this is my MongoDB container, this is my Redis container, right? So that will make more sense than having the random chosen name. Let's go back to the dashboard. Okay, so if I refresh this now, it should change now. So if I refresh this, why it is not refreshed though? Let me close this. Let's try one more time. Yeah, you can see here the to do app is showing up here. Okay, You can copy the container ID from here, and then there are few more things, right? You can stop the container, just the way we do docker stop, we can stop the container from here. Then there are few more actions. Okay, view details. Let's go to view details and see what details we get. Okay, so the logs that you are seeing here, right? The way to see docker logs is you do docker logs, you know, and then do to do app, right? What is your container name? And you can see these logs, and if you want to tell it, you can tell it with -f, right? So whatever logs next happens, for example, let's say I'm performing some operation, test, you know, all those logs will show up here. I think maybe the application doesn't have logs, that's why it is not showing up here, but all the logs will be show up here. Then there's a thing called docker inspect. We are going to talk about this, but I want to show you like all these options are available. Bind mounts, we are going to look at that. Why do we need this? Then there's this interesting execute operation, right? So this is giving a shell script inside your running container. I haven't talked about that yet, but I'm going to discuss that in detail in maybe next coming few videos, right? I'm going to discuss about that, but consider this right now. I'm going to discuss this in very short, that this is going to give us a this is going to give us a shell inside the running container. If I do ls, okay, you will see all the files, and if you look at this home node app, this is nothing but the path that we had given to our application, right? So you can see all the files here. If I do ls src, right, you will see the index.js. If I do cat src index.js, you are going to look at the exact code that we have written, right? So there is a way to do that from your command prompt as well, okay? And if you go to files, it will actually show you all the files, like it will show you what is inside the container, right? So this is your exactly your Linux machine with a container, Node.js container running on it, right? And if I go to home node app, this is where our application is residing, right? You have this src index.js. You can choose to open it. I think you can edit it as well from here. Yeah, you can edit it here, right? You can save it here. All those things are available here. Then docker stats, basically, again, I'll create one more video. I'm just giving you an overview what more things to come in future, right? So it will tell you how much CPU is being used, you know, right now, what is the disk read write ratio, what is the memory usage, what is the network bandwidth which is being connected by Docker container, and you have a CLI commands also available for on this. Like if I do docker stats, you will get all these details, whatever it is showing up, okay? And then it is actually live stats. So if you make any changes or your application consumes more memory, it will definitely show you here. Okay, I think this is what I wanted to talk or give you an overview on the Docker Desktop. Why I still don't want you to use Docker Desktop is the reason that Docker Desktop wouldn't be available on your production, right? When you're deploying your applications on Linux, CentOS, whatever the system that you are using, the only Docker daemon is available, and the way to communicate with Docker daemon is through Docker CLI. Even though you have these options available, sometimes if you forget, you can obviously come back here, try a few things, okay? But if you have time, struggle with Docker commands, read through the details that we get, like in Docker help, right? So read through the Docker help commands, and that will definitely make you pro on this, right? You will have better confidence when you are actually debugging something on the on your system, on the production system. So that's about in this video, guys, and we'll meet again in the next video. Thank you.